Hello guys, and welcome to Geekdom Movies, and we're starting off 2022 by deciding to get rid of all our social media, because that's the movie we saw.
Delete, bye, see ya, we're off YouTube.
Screw you Meta, Facebook, screw you Snapchat.
Better luck
Just
next
kidding.
time, Zuckerberg.
We are doing our first episode of 2022,
Yeah,
and
we are.
we really couldn't start off without like such a great movie. I know you guys didn't get a chance to see the trailers, so you both went in kind of blind, right?
I saw half of the trailer with you, and then we
right,
turned it off.
Yeah.
We turned it off because we were like, this is going to give away the whole movie.
Yeah.
I don't want to know anything going into this movie at all.
Right. We got to see an international Japanese-made anime called Belle.
Belle.
Yeah,
Bella.
No, Belle.
In the movie, the way they pronounced it was Bella. But whatever. I don't know how they're pronouncing it in America, but they pronounced it Bella in the movie. But this movie is subtitled,
Wow,
so the whole movie was in Japanese.
I didn't catch that.
I didn't catch that either.
Yeah.
I'll take your word for it, though.
Yeah.
But before we get started, we have a very special interview. This young lady dressed up as the main character from the movie. The reason this is really cool is this is the only showing it's a special early screening for this movie. It has not officially come out yet. I think they said it's like another week or two they're gonna officially release it like everywhere. Right now they're doing limited just to see what like the traction is for a movie like this, whether people are gonna come see it. I gotta say, we were in our IMAX showing and it was completely like full.
Yeah, there was not an empty seat.
It was pretty close. Yeah, people next to us, it was tight. Like you could feel like the fans were there who like anime. And I gotta laugh a little bit because that guy's laugh was so infectious. There's a scene that's really funny, but this guy had like a Santa Claus laugh.
Yeah.
Yep.
He's like, ho, 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 ho. And then like it just kind of
it caught into the crowd and everybody started laughing.
It was very contagious, infectious. Ooh, maybe that's the wrong word during COVID. Infectious laughing. But hey, if I had to get COVID or infectious laugh, I choose.
I'll take infectious laugh.
But yeah, no, this movie, oh my gosh, I don't even know how to talk about it. But before we jump into that, we're doing a special cutscene to Shannon doing the interview with a fan who dressed up from the character from anime. So we'll be right back.
Hey everybody, we're here at the premiere for Bella, and it is a early fan screening, and we have with us a super fan who watched all the trailers and went ahead and made a cosplay for the premiere tonight. So she was nice enough to let us ask her a couple questions. She goes by Emo Rex on YouTube, so make sure you follow her for cosplay and costume ideas. So, Emo Rex, how did you get into this movie and how did you first hear about it?
Well, I first heard about it on Instagram, and I saw pictures of posters and stuff, and then I totally forgot about it for a while, and then the trailer popped up on YouTube, and I remembered instantly about it. So I love music, anything to do with singing, and Beauty and the Beast is always one of my favorites too. So fantasy, singing, gorgeous outfits, great character design, everything. So I knew as soon as I saw it that they were coming out with the screening for it that I had to go see it.
That's awesome. Have you seen other movies by this director?
Not on yet, anyway, but they are on my list.
Yeah, me too.
Can you recommend us some anime movies that you do like?
Ooh. When it comes to anime movies, I really like Dead Apple from the Bungo Stray Dogs stuff.
Dead Apple, okay.
Yeah, like I have a bunch on my list though. Your Name, Silent Boys. I haven't gotten to them yet, but I will.
Your Name is really good, so make sure if you like this movie that you check out Your Name and Weathering with You and Silent Boys. What else can you tell us about anime movies and costumes that you've made?
Well, this is actually my first costume that I made, like all of it for. I usually do like little just like bedazzling things. Like I've done a couple masks and stuff, like face masks, and I altered gloves for like opera gloves for myself. But this is my first time ever like cosplay. Like I altered the earrings so they're clip-ons instead, and just made fancy my wig and made a little hair bow with butterfly too.
I love it. I think you did a really nice job.
Thank you.
Well, thanks for telling us us about your costumes and the movies that you like to watch, and we're getting to it. Let's go do the review.
And guys, welcome back. I hope you guys enjoyed a little bit of Shannon's interview with the fan. You did a good job.
Thank you.
You asked good questions.
Thank you.
This girl she was so happy. Like, I could tell just even watching the interview with you.
Yeah.
She was just excited to be there. This was her song. I mean,
She needs to go, if you're watching this, you need to go do some conventions, because you would be awesome at cosplay. You'd win all the contests. Everyone would come up to talk to you. You got to start doing cosplay.
Yeah, absolutely. We never get to really. This is the first time ever interviewing a fan or somebody out of a movie theater. That usually never happens. It's a big movie. It was sold out. We're gonna try to keep our review pretty limited, because there's a lot of spoilers, but also I think we're aware a lot of people who do go see this movie, they're probably not going to watch the trailer. So we'll just kind of give you our overall in our non-spoiler review, we'll just give you guys our overall feelings, what if you liked it. We'll try to think of something to talk about in a non-spoiler that isn't spoilerish. So I'll start off my review, we'll throw it over to Shannon, and then last but not least, we'll have the great George Bogdan closing us off with our non-spoiler review. This movie visually, just the opening scene of this like Matrix-like world of this like app, this like Ready Player One, this Matrix. It was breathtaking, right?
Amazing.
I mean, it's a beautiful scene. I also think, George, this made up for the disappointment that is the Matrix 4 that we watched a few weeks back.
Yes, this did make up for it.
It's way better than the Matrix.
Oh, well, not the original. Calm down.
The new one. Yeah. the new one.
But this movie has a lot to say. I remember halfway through this movie, I looked at George and I said, they're talking about a lot of social commentary about the dangers of social media, internet, what it can do to somebody, especially. I think about this a lot. We grew up, like you and me, we grew up in a world where we didn't have access to the internet and everything available. But the children that are, George, did you also live in a world before internet?
Sort of. I mean, I was homeschooled, so I ended up with it later than most.
Solidarity, brother. I was homeschooled with no internet.
I mean, like, the thing is, we lived before smartphones. We lived before, if I was at my friend's house and my mom needed something, she had to call my friend's mom's house to tell her to, send me home, or my sister, vice versa. If anybody was over, their parents had to have our phone number. It's a very different world today. Kids are growing up where they have access to all information, all data, all social stuff right on in the palm of their hands. It's a very different world today, and I think a movie like this is very smart, has a lot of dark themes, prevalent themes, social commentary on the dangers of social media, the dangers of being able to escape into this virtual world and deciding not to be part of the real world, especially for those children who might be having a really tough time, whatever that may be. Some kids might want to just escape, and because of that escape, they're gonna latch onto this world online that can keep them from living their life.
Oh, I have a totally different take on this, and I can't wait to get into it. I'm completely the opposite of what you are.
Oh, I'm not saying that's the only message. I'm just saying you have to, because look, my wife and I, we talk about this. When we have kids, or if we have kids, we're not going to give our kids phones until they're teenagers, 14, 15, because I don't want them to be part of this. They're so kids are so impressionable. You have to make the safety kind of control what they can and can't do, if that makes sense. And I think this movie really talks about the dangers. Now, if you're a teenager, you're gonna get a car, you're gonna get a cell phone, you're gonna do all the things that you eventually end up doing. But I think children should stay away from that. How old was the girl in this movie, and the kids?
I was trying to figure that out. She was in high school.
16? Okay.
So I think 14, 15.
Something like that.
They said that the boy she was talking to on the internet was 14.
Okay.
The dad said you're 14. So she was probably 14.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But anyways, long story short, the visuals, the music. Oh, the music! My gosh.
Oh yeah, amazing.
Yeah, the soundtrack is just fantastic here. There are a few things that didn't work for me,
I agree.
but even with the missteps or some of the things that I wasn't really feeling,
More cultural differences.
I would have to agree.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
I mean, I've been binging anime for like months now, years almost.
Would you say that there's just certain things that don't play?
There's a lot of cultural differences between our society and
something like Japan.
Yes.
And the
Yeah,
children there.
huge. I mean, like, there's even large cultural differences between here and Europe, which, Steven, he, our mutual buddy, Steven, he's, from Italy, so he grew up here and there, and he gets to see a lot of the very large differences in culture that, things that we think are completely like messed up or strange or like, what are you doing? That's considered normal there. And, obviously there's things we do here that, Europe thinks is absolutely nuts. And, so I would have to say there's just a lot of cultural differences.
I don't think that was my issue. I think my issue, not that you're not wrong. I agree with everything you said. My issue was they were trying to do like 3-4 different movies in one movie.
Yeah, they had a lot going on here.
I mean, they didn't fail. They didn't fail.
No, they didn't
but
fail.
it did feel a little like too much
you
stuff.
around a little too much.
Yeah, like
there was more. I wanted to
Maybe
see
they
more
should
of
have
each
split
of
it
these
up
worlds.
into about 3 movies.
It could have been.
or
They
an
could have had
anime
enough
series,
story.
They could have picked 2 of these 25 plots and focused on them.
I can't say that I would have preferred this as an anime series, because every anime series it seems that I've watched, except for maybe like about 3, don't have definitive ends. So I'm just like, I'm ending them and I get frustrated.
Oh, I see what you're
They're
saying.
like a
Okay.
fanfic. They just keep going until they stop.
I can't handle this. I need an ending.
Okay.
So
Yeah, like I just feel like they were doing like there's a jerk feeling. Like okay,
There
when you're
is a
in
jerk feeling.
when you're in this application, this internet world, you're kind of like set up in that story, and then suddenly you're out and you're in the real world, and in the real world there's this story, and you're like, oh, okay, cool, and then suddenly when you're kind of like getting into that story, suddenly you go right back to like the virtual world. It was just a lot to kind of, it was like, it didn't feel, I don't know what the word, it just felt jerky.
It didn't flow very well.
I think
In
part
some
of
parts.
that might have been the fact that they might have also been trying to portray like what maybe a social media addiction might feel like.
Yeah.
Where you're basically like, you're not really living so much in the real world.
Yeah, that could
And
be.
I think that might have been what they were trying to portray.
That makes sense.
If that's what they were going for, they did that very well.
Yeah, I mean, again, it didn't take me out of the movie.
No.
This movie is still absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
I am stunned by what they were able to accomplish and how they built this world. There is a really cool, like, I wasn't expecting action, but there are some really cool battle sequences in this movie that I did not see coming. There's a whole scene about Beauty and the Beast in this virtual world, and the story of Beauty and the Beast and how they incorporated into the movie, that I was just like, wait, what?
Did not see any of that coming.
There's just so much going on, and it is all, it's working in every way. It's not, some things may not work perfectly, there's a little bit of jerk, but everything in this movie gets the message across. What that scene is and what it's trying to accomplish, that scene accomplishes it.
Yes, absolutely.
So for me, I mean, we're just at the this is our first movie of 2022, but like Weathering with You, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna have this movie somewhere in my top 10, unless 10 other movies that come out that are just gonna really blow me away. But right now, what this movie accomplished, the social commentary, kids and their phones, the virtual reality world and what it can do to people, the
music, the scenery, the artwork, the
like
animation.
it's a fantastic movie.
Yeah.
And it has something to say, and it says it, but also entertains you like no end. My recommendation, go see it in theaters. Shannon.
Yeah, definitely go see it in theaters. There's something to be said for just jumping into a whole other culture, and this movie is subtitled, so you're watching it, you're reading it, but you're hearing all the Japanese words, and it's in the Japanese native language. It's all animated in Japan. Everything about this movie, like, nothing of this was done in America, other than maybe the subtitles. So, like, there is something to be said for just, like, complete immersion into a different culture, and this movie's gonna make you want to go to Japan. Like, in the first 5 minutes of the movie, there's this scene where it's all in the computer and everything is crazy and everything is techno and everything is just coming at you so fast, and it's bright colors and bright lights and bright song, and then it cuts, and then it's this peaceful, serene girl waking up
by a river,
having tea quietly with her mom, and you're like, that is Japan. I've never been there, but that is Japan. You have the nightlife and the culture.
You mean dad, not mom?
Oh, the dad. Well, like that, whoever it was, she's like pouring herself a cup of tea and it's quiet and you just hear the brook in the background. You're like, you have the city where you can be in Tokyo and be at karaoke and there's a nightlife and a club and a casino and the bright colors and bright lights, and then you go a couple miles outside of that and you go to this where people actually live, and it's serene.
Yeah, it's like the suburbs of this city. I don't think it's Tokyo, because she goes to Tokyo at the end of the movie. But it is a city, you're right.
Yeah.
Like, there is a bustling city, but then it's kind of like the suburbs of Detroit. Like, we're from Detroit. Like, if you go to Detroit, it's a city. When you leave, like, 5 miles outside of Detroit, it's like suburbs and
you can
nature
find
and
farmland.
houses. Yeah, exactly. So, you're right. There is a lot going on in that sense.
And just in the culture that you see in this movie is, it's like a trip overseas to another culture, and I loved every second of it. I love these kind of movies where they throw all these stories at you and all these plots at you that you would not see this in an American film. You just would not.
Ain't that the truth?
You would not. Like, no one is going to be this creative and this outside the box thinking. Nobody's going to take this risk with an American film.
This feels like a deja vu of what we were talking about when we saw
Weathering with You. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like nobody would come up with that plot. On Your Name, nobody would come up with the plot of Your Name. Like, that's just not something an American writer for Netflix is going to produce. They're not. And so huge props and credit to the people that came up with this, and the music behind it, and the colors and the costuming. It's an experience.
When that whale popped out of the clouds with all the speakers on it, I died.
What was that?
I was like, I don't need to know what it is. I'm just happy it exists.
I know. And there's some of the artwork in this movie is just stunning, and you don't even know, I don't know how they created it. Did you notice the skies? The skies in this movie were something to behold, because in the virtual world, the skies are a pixelated version of
the real sky?
No, of like an old Japanese piece of artwork that's on parchment paper that they did with the two colors they had in a pen.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you know like the famous wave photo and all those.
Oh, yeah.
Where it's like two colors. It's very much white, celebrating the white space.
Yeah.
And, the clouds and the sky in the virtual world around his castle and around that area were like that.
Out. That's spoiler. Don't say castle.
Around in the virtual world were animated very much like an old Japanese painting, and then the clouds, when we snap back to the real world, are very realistic and look almost like something that you would actually see. And that, to be able to be an artist and do two completely different styles of artwork for just something as simple as the sky is really fascinating. And
man, I feel like I need to watch this movie and look at the sky.
Yeah. You do. Did you notice that?
I mean, I obviously I saw the sky in like the real world in it, but I completely missed in the virtual world. I was always looking at the characters.
Well, there's
so much going on.
There's so much to look at. You're gonna watch this movie like 12 times before you get it all.
That's not wrong.
And then, okay, so to go back to what you were saying about kids and their phones growing up with tons and tons of technology.
Is this a spoiler?
No.
Okay. And
how that can be a bad thing. I had a different read on that, because they didn't really present it as a bad thing. They presented it as a positive, because, and we'll get into it in spoilers, but I think there was a lot of good and positive that came out of the younger generation having phones. So we'll get into that in spoilers. And George,
What's your
go see
final...
this in theaters.
Okay.
Don't, like, even if you think that you hate anime and anime is dumb, no, just go see this in theaters and treat it like it's a trip to Japan and a cultural experience, and you're on a field trip, because you're going to get a lot out of it, even if you don't like the movie.
That's a good point. Yeah, George?
This, I didn't know what exactly this movie was about, and so I was very glad that you didn't tell me. And I would have to say, just wow. It's a very, very different twist on like a age-old story that is just phenomenal, and I absolutely love it. It's great. I would have to say I'm not sure how much of a fan I really am of like the sort of like the bit of a freeze frame animation style.
What do you mean?
I've been spoiled too much by like smooth flowing animation that I go and I watch something like this, and it's like it's like jittery, and I don't know how.
Yeah, like the train station scene was a little like there was a part where it was the same frame that was frozen for like a full minute, and you're just hearing characters talk off screen.
No, I don't have an issue so much with that.
Okay.
I have more of an issue with like when it's showing movement but it's not like
It's
flowing.
like this. It's like stop motion.
No, it's like very quickly pulsing, not actually like movement.
Yeah, okay.
I don't really.
I don't know if I
animation
picked that
style.
I didn't
quite
pick
as
that
much.
up, but that's interesting.
It's
I noticed
definitely
it
an
right at
animation
the-
choice at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
they-
noticed it right at the start. And that was
Okay.
something that I really liked about Weathering with You, was it didn't really have that as much. It had where
Yeah.
things like flowed through, like emotion, you saw the motion happen. It wasn't like, like jittery as it happened.
What I picked up from the real world, like sequences or scenes, the color choice and the style was bland, like because they feel like their lives are bland. I guess maybe that's why it looks so bland.
Okay.
But then when you were in the virtual world,
Yeah.
it's
It
was
like
very vibrant.
color explosion and painting, and she's jumping
Movement
from
and music and-
she's trying to get to this place where this guy is, and like the AI robots, whatever they are, they're like changing scenes, and it's like like drastic colors and very like intimate, like you were saying, like paintings and stuff. But then when it goes through the real world, it just feels whatever.
The contrast was very intentional. They wanted you to feel like real world is boring.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to sit here on this bus by themselves. Nobody
Right.
wants to sit in the schoolyard and get bullied. Plug into this real world, plug into the U-verse, and you are a
Part of-
whole new
yeah,
person.
right.
Yeah, and it's fun and exciting, and nobody knows who you are. And
Yeah.
they portrayed that beautifully.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Is that what you were talking about with the how like the real world scene and then
No,
the...
he's talking about the
I
frame
was
by
talking
frame.
about the
Oh.
almost like the frame rate of the animation.
Yeah, the
was
frame.
Maybe
kinda
I'm missing
strange.
something. Okay.
Like, in
Um,
stop motion, when things are it'll move like this.
Clay motion.
Yeah, that's what
It
he's
was
talking
almost
about.
like it was
Oh.
almost like half the distance moved of clay motion, so it was a little bit better than
Clay motion.
that. But
Yeah.
but it still had like that jitteriness, and
I noticed
I
it a
love
little.
smooth anime, so like it irks me just a little bit.
Yeah.
I see.
I know it is a style, but it
yeah, I
irks
don't.
me.
Yeah,
Would you
that's-
say that's
But-
nitpicking and the rest of the movie was really good?
Yes,
Okay.
I would
Yeah,
say that.
I thought you would. Just to be clear.
This is my portion of it where I'm just talking about like like the scenes and like how they're done and things. That's all that was.
Okay.
In regards to the actual story, oh my goodness, it's good, and watch it.
Yeah.
Because wow. Wow, such an amazing portrayal of that story, just done phenomenally, updated to nowadays, and something that kids could actually relate to. Amazing, absolutely amazing.
Yeah. No, the social commentary, like you were saying, you wouldn't see a movie like this in America. And,
That's very true.
And
No.
and the way they portray that, the social commentary about kids growing up and the themes and heartbreak and healing and becoming shy and kind of closed in, like you don't feel confident. Yeah, you're still like this vulnerable little girl or boy who's like not really flourished into the adult where like you have more confidence yet. Like things like that, like I never feel that from like even something as great as Pixar doesn't really do justice the way Japanese animation does of what kids are going through. I'm always looking at Japanese movies like Weathering with You or you know, a lot of these anime movies where the kids feel like actual kids and
they do.
Like you actually get a sense of their life and what they're really like, not what some director or movie studio is making them to be. Like you
well, the
feel...
chart says kids like bunnies. Put a bunny in the movie. You know.
No, I think like I don't know how they do it, but Japanese anime creators, Japanese animation studios, they really want to give you the heart and soul of a child as they grow up and why they're looking for a fantastical adventure, whether it's Weathering with You or this movie or the like 50
Sailor
other anime
Moon or whatever, you know, like
like they just know and they know how to do it so well that I every time it's like, wow, like this is like you watch Weathering with You and let's say you watch this movie, like the only thing that I can say is similar is kids are going through hardship. Like that's the theme. Yeah. But the movie is completely different. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like that's crazy to me. Like every time I see that I'm like, how do they do that? Anyways, we should probably stop talking and go into our spoiler review. Yep. Did you guys have any
watch this in theaters?
Oh yeah.
If at all possible, watch this in theaters. Yes. And if you can't watch it in theaters, then watch it at home. Just watch it.
Yeah, and
you'll love it.
Yeah, final note, we got to see an early screening for fans. The movie is still 2 weeks away or a week away. I don't remember what day it was, but we're doing our early review. It is going to be in cinemas, like everywhere in theaters in like a week or two. So if you do look up, if you like our review and you're like, oh, I want to see this movie, and you look up times, they're not going to pop up yet. Just like figure out when it's I think it's like January 21st, I'm gonna say, something like that, when it goes wide. I'll double check, but just wait a couple weeks. If you're watching this much later at a different time and the movie's been out for a while, definitely go pick it up, rent it on, I'm sure it'll be available on iTunes and Vudu and all the other streaming services that have these movies. And yeah, we're now heading towards our spoiler reviews. This time I'm gonna choose to go last. How about you guys start us off with your spoiler reviews?
George?
Oh, okay.
I can go first if you want.
All right. No, I can do this. So, first thing in spoilers. Let's see. What's a good spoiler?
Can we just talk about the Beast in his castle?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so
that's a good starter.
It took me way too long to figure out this is Beauty and the Beast.
I know. Like 40 minutes in, Fahad goes, "Oh, I get it. It's Beauty and the Beast." And
the
I was
rose. It was the rose.
It was the rose. Yes.
That got
the
me.
Rose. The rose
her
is what
name
gives
is
that away.
Belle. I got that from the title.
I know, but like
I got that
didn't
going
think
into
that
the movie.
had anything to do with it because it didn't start like a regular Belle.
It doesn't.
Yeah, like you're like she's singing as this superstar that's gotten famous on YouTube, Instagram, kind of like yeah.
As soon as they said the word Beast, I was like, it's Beauty and the Beast.
Well, they didn't say the word beast. They called him the dragon.
Yeah.
And so I was like,
he's a beast.
Well, what is
Well,
this?
Her name is Belle, and she's
then as soon as they mentioned beast, I'm like, there's no way. And then I'm like, there's a rose. Oh, yes, way.
So it's interesting because, okay, so Beauty and the Beast is an old French fairy tale from the Middle Ages.
Right.
The first really big cinematic Beauty and the Beast was made in 1918, I want to say, like early silent film era by Jean Cocteau. And Jean Cocteau created like the iconic imagery where the beast looks like a cat and he has the horn, like antler horns, and whenever you see like a hand with a candlestick, that's Jacques Cousteau, and all of that imagery carries into this Japanese movie, and you're like, I see that in the Beauty and the Beast American film, like the way that the castle is built and the hallways and the imagery and what the Beast is wearing and what he looks like and how his face is constructed and how his castle is constructed. All of that imagery is over 100 years old, and it's just still
breathtaking.
Worldwide. Yeah. Everyone in the world is still
talking about it,
using and taking from that silent film from the 20s, like the early 1900s.
I didn't even know that.
It's amazing.
That's
so
really cool.
Like, you only get to see the Beast's castle for 5 to 10 minutes, but every scene that it's in, I'm like, pause it. I want to look at his castle. I want to look at his castle. Like every little architectural detail.
The rooms and the stairway and how it kind of like it was. It was like they were, but it's not look like a real castle. It looks like an internet version of a castle,
right?
Of like something you'd
like
find in
I love it,
right? Like something that was built off the Disney Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah.
And there's even a scene where they're in a circular ballroom and they're dancing together, and the camera pans out.
And they start floating.
Yeah,
and they start floating just like in Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah. I don't think I remember that scene from the Disney movie, but
there's kind of like everything sort of like fades away, and it's like starry, and then it looks like they're floating around stars.
Yeah,
and that scene, they did that scene.
They
in there,
did that,
and I'm just like, wow.
And there's even a shooting star that goes over the castle, and I was like, that's the Disney logo. That Tinkerbell. Like,
oh wow.
Yeah. So
what?
I mean, but there's also a lot of Howl's Moving Castle in this, because when he pans out on and it shows the castle, I was like, I just want to stare at this screen for 20 minutes, and then they cut away way too quick. But there was this gorgeous like shadow of a silhouette of a castle with a backlit sky, starry night behind it, and I was like, oh, it's Howl's Moving Castle. It's gorgeous.
Yeah, okay, so for me, like, as cool as that stuff was, the thing that I was picking up the most was her feelings when she's reading all the text messages, because like she grew up on this app, and now everybody's following her, and she walks into the room with her friend, and she says, oh my gosh, like, I'm so sad, like, look how mean they're being. It's like, they're jealous. Yeah. Because you're actually talented. And then the other half, what about the other half who are like singing your song? And I think that's like really pivotal to what a teenage girl goes through, because all a teenage girl or boy, it's not just teenage girl, but she's a teenage girl. That's the only reason I'm saying it. That like, oh, I want to be liked. I want people to think I'm cool, and these people are hurting my feelings. And her friend's like, look, like, to be popular comes with people who will like you, one half, and people who won't like you, the other half. Life. And you gotta kind of let go of the negativity, because like the way they did it, it was kind of like, oh, she thinks she's so special. Oh, she thinks blah 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 blah. Like, she's not even that good of a singer. Like, and like she's hearing that, and it's like crushing her.
Yeah, it's
and like any teenage kid who doesn't like, who wants to be liked, with no confidence, they haven't really stepped up to like,
the best line in this whole movie, her friend goes, this platform is built on half fandom. she goes, yeah, half of the people are your fans and they love you, the other half hates you. This entire platform is built on half fandoms. I was like, that's genius. That's the entire internet. Like, if you're on the internet, you're gonna have half of them that hate you and half of them that love you. That's just the way it is.
That's true.
And that is something that if you're gonna be online and you're gonna be a content creator, you gotta go in knowing that and be emotionally ready for it.
That's what it means to be polarizing.
You won't believe how many comments I've had to delete from our own YouTube channel of people just saying a little too much stuff.
And what is there even to say about somebody's opinion on a movie? Like, who cares? But like, why is that so controversial? It's just an opinion.
It's just people trolling. That's what I really call it.
It is. It's people that are bored and have too much time on their hands. And you have to go in with the mindset of like, water off my back. If you like this content, great. Come watch it, enjoy it with us. If you don't like it and you leave a comment,
That's true.
That does not affect me. It does not affect me at all.
Yeah, I'm not gonna look
I'm
up like
going on with my
NFL
day.
YouTube channels talking about what players are doing good, but I'm not gonna go there and be like, "You guys are idiots for liking football."
Right, exactly.
It's just weird that people do that. It's like, okay, like
Get a
why?
job. Get a job and get some work done.
Right.
Channel that energy into something productive.
Yeah, and the other thing I gotta say, this Beast entrance is so cool.
It was
He comes
awesome.
flying through the concert. These like superhero guys. They kind of reminded me of home, like from that TV show, Amazon TV show, Homeworld. What's his name? This big
Not Homelander.
Homelander. He reminded me of Homelander.
from,
Yeah. What's that TV show
The
called?
Boys.
The Boys. He has like all these sponsors, like all over him, and it looks
That
like,
was hilarious. Yes.
and like his
I think
superpower.
a lot
is,
of
like,
people were like softly giggling when they showed his sponsors.
Yeah.
Like, everybody's just like, "Whew, this is great."
Yeah, I mean, because I looked over at you and you're like, oh my god, like I knew immediately when they did that, like you already know why you said oh my god without having to say it. Like we both looked at each other and were just like, that's what they're doing.
Yeah.
And it was such a great entrance. And even the way they did like the bruising like on his back and how he got it, like first I was like, why are they doing that? The internet world, it was reflecting the real world where his dad was beating up the little boy who was his younger brother, and to protect him,
we gotta talk about
he jumped on top of his brother while his dad kicked him or punched
That
him.
was the most like heartbreaking.
That revelation, I was like,
when you realize that,
like my mouth that whole time was like,
I know,
like in the movie they were just like, and then I was like,
I had gotten to
You
a
know?
point about the time when she starts dancing with the Beast. I got to a point where I was like, all right, well, I know where the rest of this movie is going. And then 5 minutes later, you go, wait, whoa, I'm back in. What's happening now? This is a totally different thing than it was 5 minutes ago.
that's true, you're right.
Yeah,
because even the ladies that we were talking to said like we all just thought it was the basketball
we
boy from
knew
his
who
childhood.
It was. We just
Yeah,
thought
like,
it was
I mean,
that guy.
every single person was like, that's, we know who the Beast. And when he says to her, "You're Belle, aren't you?" I was just like, "Oh yeah, like
that's
I'm
gotta
already
be.
okay." Like
And I was checked out. I was
I'm
ready
checking
to go.
out. Like he figured it out, and they're gonna fall in
5
love.
minutes
and,
later, wait a second. Hold
No,
on,
that-
back in.
and just that. One of the greatest. I mean, like there are some scenes in movies. I don't care if it's animation or live action. There are some scenes that go another level, and like how they portray. And when she clocks it and she says, "I saw all that. I saw your dad. Like we're so sorry. We want to help." And he turns around and he looks at the camera and he said, "Help? Oh, you're gonna talk to my dad and you're gonna make him understand. Oh, your
yeah,
dad said he's not gonna do
everyone's
that.
done that.
Help." And like
Over and
this
over and
rant,
over.
I was just like, what are we even watching right now?
I know,
and it was
so good.
so good.
Because
And
you see this kid who's like protecting his brother, on top of his brother, pushing his dad off his brother, who's like this loving big brother, and then he turns to the camera to look at you, like, which is Belle, but it feels like you, the audience, and then he just turns into this bitter, like you see all of his hurt, pent up rage and anger.
He turns into the Beast, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And he vents all this frustration. And I know 20 kids like this. I was that kid. Like I had all this rage and it's so dynamic and it shows you what he's going through. And he seems like he's a mean person, but he's not.
No. I was like, I would say the same freaking thing if I was in his position. How many times have I had to tell a teacher or somebody,
this is what's happening, and they say,
you talk to your dad, he'll do better. You talk to your dad, he said he's sorry. You talk to your dad, and he's like, stop saying you're gonna help because you're not gonna help. Like, get out of my face. And he's like, the only way for you to get him to see you, there's only one way, and you have to go in there, and you have to reveal your real life, like your real,
to make him
trust you.
So I missed a little bit of the plot because I didn't understand why there was enough for her to fall in love with him.
He's like she saw him as a little brother at the end.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't feel like it was supposed
Like
to
a
be
mom.
a romance.
It
was
wasn't
supposed to be like
a romance.
He
It
becomes
wasn't, okay.
she becomes the mom.
Oh, okay.
'Cause I
That
don't
makes
know
a
if you
lot
saw
more
it,
sense.
in his room, there was that smashed portrait
Yeah.
of his mom.
Yeah. Just like in The Beauty and the Beast.
Oh, yeah.
Just like the smash
So
portrait.
he
of
lost
him.
his mom
Yeah.
as
in
well.
Beauty and the Beast,
Right.
yeah.
But
And
what I'm
then
saying
she
is...
lost-
This time it was his mom that was in the frame instead of it being a photo of him.
Right.
And the reason they were both
And basically
connecting...
he blamed his mom for what was happening to him and his brother.
Okay,
Right. And
okay.
so, like, the Beast lost his mom and had to deal with their dad, who is not like their mom. And same thing is applying to her, even though her dad isn't, like, beating her up or doing anything bad.
Right.
But he is kind of doesn't know how to talk to her, so they're both... Like, that's the reason the Beast and her are having this, like, deep connection.
Right.
And that's why when
Okay,
she
okay.
realizes on screen what's happening, she's like, I have to get to Tokyo.
Yeah.
Whether I fly there or take a train, I have to go protect those kids. And
Right.
when she grabs the two kids and she puts her arms around them,
Why
and
didn't they run?
and
I
the
was like, run! Run away from this man. I guess they're kids and he's an adult.
well, it goes back to like how her mom jumped into the water.
Yeah.
And she was like, Mom, don't go. It's like, if I don't go, like, help her, she's gonna die.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
And then it runs
yeah.
back to her where she's like standing there and she's like, I'm not gonna run either. I'm gonna take out this. It's not like a weather phenomenon where the river's attacking you. It's like a real person. Her standing her guard is like, I'm not afraid to fight this. And she just stares at the dad with like dead, like, because the dad says in the train, you're growing, I don't know what's going on, and whatever it is that you're doing, like the dad says, like, you have your reasons, and if you need to go, you don't need to tell me now, but just know that I love you and your mom would be proud of you.
Yeah.
Right when he said that, she got the confidence to stand up to the dad and look at the monster. It's not a river trying to kill you. It's not the internet people trying to kill you. It is this man of a father who's, and the way she looks at him says, you can beat me up, you can punch me, you can pull my hair, you can do whatever you want, but I'm going to be standing here protecting these children and I'm not going to run.
Right.
So that made me tear up. Like, I was like, oh my gosh, that emotional punch
that was good.
like nothing. I mean, I did not see that coming. And she's bleeding because he scratched her.
That was crazy because he thinks it's a guy that's
Yeah.
like hugging the kids, and he reaches out and he scratches, and she's bleeding, and then when she turns around and he realizes that it's a girl, like this is a little girl staring him down, he can't do it. He can't punch her. So he got beat out by his own humanity.
Well, he also knew he could, if he did punch her, she's just gonna take it, and it's gonna get worse for him either way, right?
Right, like what? Yeah, somebody's gonna. Find
She's not
out
running.
That, right, exactly. He's gonna be the man that punched a little girl in the face.
God, this movie was so good. Sorry, I just needed a moment. This movie was so good.
It is.
Oh my
It's
gosh.
really good.
What else do you guys got?
I mean, there's so much to say. There's so much. We need to pause. You all right?
It's like, I realized while I was talking, the little girl becomes the mom. I didn't even see it in the moment. But while I was talking, I was like, that's what's happening.
Yeah.
And then I figured it out while I was talking, which is, never had that happen before. Usually I have my thoughts already set up.
So did you notice that one? Well, I guess, was that actually happening at that point in time or not? I
What do you mean?
couldn't quite tell. The situation where he went to defend his brother. Because it looked exactly like...
Yeah, I asked
it
that
looked
question
exactly
too.
like
What
in
he
the
was
castle.
doing when she was saying...
Yeah.
It was happening at the same time because he was saying, if I can endure it, if I can endure it.
Oh.
So he had his thing in. He was in the U-verse, but he was also on top of his brother.
There was a huge time gap. There was a huge time gap because she then called him. Like, it was a long point in time afterwards when she actually found out who they were and called him.
Maybe it was something that happened a lot. Maybe they were saying that she caught him doing it one day, but it happens all the time.
That could be.
And so she caught him then doing it when he wasn't in the U-verse.
Because, yeah, it was like the exact same situation with right after that dance.
Yeah, exactly. When he says, if I can endure it, and he flies away.
Yeah.
And that, I think flying away was probably him taking out the ear thing. I don't know. They were kind of unclear on that. But the other thing that I did not understand was the gold ball thing. Like when she would sing, a gold ball popped up in front of her, and then
That was like her emotions.
I don't know why they all
Portrayed
sang
that way.
along with her, and why they were like, "Don't stop singing, keep singing." Like I didn't get that part.
I think that was just basically to not lose confidence.
Okay.
Basically, they were cheering her on because even though they're not getting it, they're like, wow, she's really brave for showing that she's just a little girl who's like doesn't have confidence. She's not this superstar like her
Right.
avatar is, and she's taking that moment to be brave and sing anyway
Yeah.
with her actual voice and with her actual self. They only see her as an avatar, but what she sees, what she's doing is standing up to the boy to say, here's me, the real me. You don't have to be afraid. I do care. And so what if somebody figures out who I really am? It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, I really care. And
Yeah.
then it's like, and then like when it cuts back to the screen, like the boy who was getting beat up is like his little brother's like, is that really Bella? I want to
Yeah.
go to her. She's really cool. Like I want to talk to her. And he's like, is that really you? And like they really like, they were like, for someone to do that, to like really in that kind of setting where you try to be anonymous online, right? And then for her to say, I'm not going to be anonymous anymore, I'm just going to show you myself, that's a big deal for what that world is trying to set up, because people escape to this internet to get away from reality, and everybody kind of is part of this weird like web of people who are like, we're all here, we're all trying to be somebody different, we're not trying to bring our real world into it. And for someone to do that, like the superhero guy said, like you want to be revealed, like your real avatar, you really want people, nobody's ever done that before. And like, because nobody would give up their
Anonymity.
yes,
Sorry.
that's the word. But it also shows that she's doing it basically to get to where the boy is, and they had to figure out how to get to those kids. And I mean, I'm still a little confused as to what happens after he hits her and then the father runs away. Like, what happens to the kid?
I think he just ran away, and then I
I'm
don't know what
confused.
happened after that, but
But then now
Who
the
knows?
whole world saw him on camera doing this.
Did they?
I think.
Oh, that's right, because he says like, oh, this is on the internet, so you're right.
Yeah, I think so.
maybe
Now he's exposed and he's not able to do anything anymore, because I'm sure like CPS or whatever they have in Japan was called.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I just didn't understand like what
That's
that.
part of what I think the cultural differences come in, because maybe if I lived in Japan, I would be like, oh, CPS was called, because obviously that's what would happen in this situation.
Well,
Like, I don't know what they do in Japan for
Yeah,
child abuse.
I don't know. You're right.
Yeah.
It didn't. But I mean, I think she was like, I'm gonna be the mom in this story.
Yeah, she became the hero like her mom. And yeah. Did they ever show what happened to that little girl that was saved when she grew up? That wasn't a friend or anything, was it?
No.
That scene in the beginning of the movie comes out of nowhere. Like, it's this happy scene about her growing up with
You gotta
her
move in
parents.
closer. You might
and
be in the camera.
happy scene about her growing up with her parents, and then all of a sudden there's like a dark screen and a little girl crying, "Help me, help me."
Well, they showed she drowned.
Yeah, I know, but that scene just comes out of nowhere and it hits you. You're like, what's
Oh yeah,
happening?
yeah.
Like,
That's
this
a wake up. Yeah, that was like,
Oh,
whoa, that where it goes?
okay. There's about 4 or 5 times in this movie where you're like, all right, well, I know where this is. What are you doing? And then the whole plot changes.
That's the thing. Like they were
Mm-hmm.
taking something that you're used to, and you think you know where it's going, and then it just flips it on you like that.
Same with Your Name. Same with Weathering with You.
Right.
Yeah.
Like a lot of these movies aren't really. They're trying to take a story and do something very unique and tell it in a way that's very. You can take something very similar, like you said, Ready Player One, Beauty and the Beast, Matrix, the list goes on. And then you take it and then you do something completely different and unique.
Yeah.
And how you tell that story. And that's really what makes somebody creative, is they can take something and like throw an homage to other storytellers and movie makers and movies and then you kind of take that concept and you do something new. Like, I think that was the really cool thing about Harry Potter. Like, I've seen fantasy, like I've seen tons of fantasy movies and books and games and whatever, but then in Harry Potter you're about these kids who are in this school, this magical school, and like the way they took it was completely different from anything you've seen before.
Yeah.
Right? So
Yeah.
every time you see that, you're like, whoa, like what is happening here? And what are they trying to do? Yeah, I mean, we could talk more, but I feel like we got to I think we talked about all the big stuff, right?
Yeah, I think so.